let's introduce our. Oh, she left. All right, she left.
She did.
She's
Okay, she's here. Okay.
It's all right. You don't need to chase her. It's all right. She's still here. All right, just while Barack gets set up here, I'd like to introduce our final speaker today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the head of Devops Advocacy at Jfrog. It sounds amazing, actually.
It does. I have no idea what it means.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But it
Yeah,
sounds
that's the thing with the head, right? It can mean whatever.
Mhm.
Just head means.
Mhm.
What does it mean? It's a manager. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all right.
You
let's do
get
this.
set up and you get your slides up, and I will say that your talk today is on DevOps for developers, or maybe against them.
Well, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, I'm all set.
Nope, we're not set yet. Hang on, I'm getting the no. I'm getting the no from the AV.
No, we're
Do you
not
want
set.
to unplug and plug back in again?
Unplug and plug back. There we go. I can do. Is it HDMI? I can do HDMI.
We
don't need
both.
USB-C.
Hang on. I think I went. Don't
Something
touch-
happens.
Don't touch your thing. Hang on, stop. Stop breathing.
Technology.
You breathe. She left, bro. She's.
No, she's here. I'm watching her now. We're good.
We good?
We good? Yeah, we're good. Amazing. We're good. All right.
I'll leave you
Excellent.
to it.
Thank you. 30 minutes. That's fine. Okay. Last session. I can take whatever. Welcome to the graveyard shift. Last session of the day. You all made it. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Oh, I forgot the most important attraction. Anyway, imagine I'm holding Nintendo Switch box, and it can be yours, and whoever left early actually missing out, your chances of winning going up. After this talk is done, we are all going to go to the Jfrog booth when we're going to raffle the Nintendo Switch, and you see it's good that it didn't left, because now you can win the Nintendo Switch. Amazing. So yeah, but this is after. For now, now you know why to stay, so I can take my time, right? Like, I think maybe an hour, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we're going to talk about DevOps for developers. Show of hands. Does it work? Show of hands? Yes? No? Maybe? No. Clicker technology is hard. Here we go. How many of you are developers? Oh, a lot. Okay, that was a DevOps conference. I expected none of you will be here. I'm going to talk dirty about developers, so now I can't. Okay, no, it's actually awesome because you know what? You're here at the DevOps. Okay, that was how many of you are developers. Who thinks they know what DevOps is? 5 hands. All right, nice. Well, don't feel bad. No one knows what DevOps is, including people who actually work in DevOps. They have no idea what DevOps is. I'm going to tell you. You're in luck. You see, it's good that you stayed. After this session, you're going to know what DevOps is. My name is Baruch Sadogurski, and my official title is Chief Sticker Officer. I've been with Jfrog so long, I cannot come up with my own titles, print my own business cards, and no one can tell me anything. That's my real business card, and it actually has a peelable sticker because Chief Sticker Officer. Head of DevOps Advocacy, Principal Developer Advocate, call it whatever. I just talk about DevOps and give away stickers. The most important part on this is my Twitter handle. It's actually on every slide. That's kind of a hint. You know what to do. More useful stuff on the bottom of every slide is actually this. Let's see if this thing works. Oh, it did. Not really. There we go. And no. It doesn't work. All right, that's a bummer. jbaruch/show notes. That's a page that you go there. You will see tons of content. The topmost content will be a page about this talk, right? It will have the slides already there. The video, if I tapped all the right buttons. If not, you will have to wait until the official video. The links about everything that I talk about here, and more prizes. You see how good you stayed? I had an honor of co-writing a book called Liquid Software, about liquid software. Intriguing? Yes. With Jfrog co-founders Fred Simon and Yoav Langman, and you have a very good chance of winning this book if you go to jfrog.com jbaruch/show notes, right? Also, in the bottom of every slide, very easy. Okay, so you're developers, a lot of you, most of you, I'm a developer, or used to be. Back in long time ago, I was a Java developer, and look, I still have a hoodie to prove it, right? No one would give me a hoodie if I wasn't a developer, right? This is how it works, they actually check. Right? Okay, but now I work in Jfrog, the Devops company, so I'm kind of on both sides of this divide that we call DevOps. Or is it a divide? Never mind, we'll see. And I'm going to prove to you all today that DevOps is a plot of operations people to make us, the developers, work harder and do their job. I have proofs. I'll start with proving you that ops people came up with DevOps, and then I'll tell you why. So first of all, ops people came with DevOps. How do we know? It doesn't work again. DevOps people did that. Right. The most important book about DevOps called The Phoenix Project. Who read The Phoenix Project? Not enough. You should read it. Awesome book, really. And it's actually, it's a non-fiction, it's a novel. Very interesting, highly, no sarcasm, highly recommended. This is the most important book about DevOps. Let's see who are the main characters. We don't need to read it all, we just need to look at the cover. And here they are. Patty McKee, Director of IT Service Support. She's in Ops. Wes Davis, Director of Distributed Technology Ops. Like Ops. SVP of Retail Ops, it's fine. Ops again. CEO, CIO, okay. CFO, fine. All right, this guy, Bill Palmer, he is the protagonist. The whole book about Bill inventing DevOps and then winning with DevOps. Who is Bill? Ops guy. He's a VP of IT Ops. Of course he's from Ops. And then there is a board member. Oh, here is very smart guy that kind of also very awesome. He's a lead system administrator. He's in Ops. And then we have the information security guy. Anyway, who is not here? Right? Now, there are developers in the book, not pictured in the best light, I will tell you. They're pictured as those lazy bastards that write code and then go home not caring about what happened after they finish their job. And they say it like it's a bad thing. Anyway, the second most important book about DevOps called the Devops Handbook. And for understanding, again, to prove my point that DevOps is an ops people plot, look at the authors of the Devops Handbook. Jim Kim, Jez Humble, Patrick Dubois, John Willis, the fathers of DevOps. Amazing people, my friends. Really great people. What's their background? We already spoke about the first one. The first one was Jim Kim. Jim Kim is the author of the Phoenix Project, and by now we know everything there is to know about him. Let's look at the others. So, Jez Humble is Patrick Dubois. He invented the term DevOps, actually, and he is a system architect, which is like a very ops-ish position. Jez Humble, actually, Deputy Director of Delivery Architecture. He came up with the term continuous delivery. He is all about ops, about delivery. And then John Willis, my dear friend, he was, just for example, VP of Services in a company called Ops Code. I mean, seriously, more ops than that, like very ops. Exhibit C. Let's see who teaches us what DevOps is. So you type, what is DevOps in Google? Let's see who teaches us what is DevOps. So first, New Relic, observability platform, obviously ops. Then, Amazon.com, you know, ops. CollabNet, they have some dev resources, so that's an exception, but everything else, the agile admin more than that. Wikipedia, fine. Atlassian, the DevOps company, and then Microsoft Azure, yet another DevOps platform. And then in the bottom, logs.io, they are observability logs and stuff, some ops bullshit, some ops amazing stuff. So, in any way, by now, you obviously know that when you hear DevOps, it's actually ops people trying to sell you something, right? Now let's see what they are trying to sell you. Why they came up with all this DevOps stuff, and what do they want from us? So, I promised you will know what is DevOps by the end of this session. We go to Quora when we want to know stuff, and we ask questions like, how do I switch my job from system admin to DevOps? And then there is very respectable DevOps specialists who come with tons of experience, who will explain to you what DevOps is. So basically, they go and they say, well, learn some Linux. Well, we are ops people, we know Linux. Learn some cloud computing. Well, we're ops people, we know cloud computing. DevOps fundamentals, software development lifecycle, and then just bunch of tools. For example, Gits. So basically, if you are a system administrator and you learn Gits, this is how you become a DevOps engineer. And it actually sounds like a very, very good financial move, because when you used to be a system administrator, that was your salary, and then you learn Gits, and then next thing you know, you have 50% more money, which is nice for learning Gits. And you know what? You're in demand. Look at that. DevOps engineers, everybody needs DevOps engineers, like a lot. And this is where you are in luck, because DevOps engineering, whatever it is, which is system administration plus Git, is where the money is. Look at that. Certifications galore. You can be now a certified DevOps engineer. They will check that you know Git and pay you more money. In any way, it looks like we found why people want to do DevOps. Because money. But it's not true. It's not true because back in the day, when DevOps started, no one actually knew that there will be money in it. There is some other hidden reason why DevOps exists. What's going on with my clicker? Here we go. This reason is right here. You probably know this diagram. It's called the DevOps Infinity Cycle. And some of you may actually recognize it. Being a developer, this looks familiar, and that looks very, very similar to something else we know. It looks like that, and this is something that we as developers do. Plan, design, develop, test, release, feedback, but with all the ops concerns added right into it. So they took everything we do, and then they took everything they do, and they attached it together, and then they, hey, now do this. You want more proof? I have more proof. State of DevOps report. Here are my Dora people sitting right there. Happy that I'm going to mention Dora. Have no idea what about to hit them. Right? So this is an old one for a reason. 2018, 4 years ago. There are 3 since then. But let's look at the old one first, and then we will go into a new one. So what are the concerns of state of DevOps, of the industry? What are we going to measure when we want to measure DevOps. Let's see. Deployment frequency. Everything that happens after the code is ready. Ops. Lead time for changes. Which changes? Whatever happens after we go from code further. The changes that they mean are actually ops changes, not really dev changes. Time to restore service. This is like, here we go entirely into ops. Unplanned outage. I'm a developer, I don't have outages. Degraded service. What? My code does what? I cannot type? My service degraded? I'm a developer, I don't have service. Right? Okay. Another very, very important part of the DORA report, time spent. And you can see here that elite spends much more time in new work than low, which spend more time in reworking and doing, like, fixing stuff. Makes sense, right? I'm completely on board. New work is where the money is. The real question is, how do we define work? Buckle up. Let's talk about what consists work for the DevOps people. Well, there are planned work, which is business projects and new features. Sounds generic, we can buy into it. Yes, we do new features in code, obviously. But then the fun begins. Internal projects, server migrations, software updates, and so on. What? What? My internal projects are writing code, not migrating services or servers. Changes, driven by feedback, uncompleted work. Fine, that's like bug fixes and stuff, you think? Not really. Support escalations and emergency outages. I write code, I don't have outages. Unless GitHub is down, then I have an outage. So this is all very, very fascinating. All those server migrations and outages, but it really has nothing to do with developers. What consists work of developers? That's easy. New features, bug fixes, and refactoring. Do you see server migrations over there? I don't. That's really not my work. So I think by now I proved with you with all the clarity that DevOps is a plot of ops people against us, the developers, in order to force us do their job. No doubt about it. But the question is, putting their job aside for a second, what is our job, the developers? What is our job? What do we do? Well, there are obviously many definitions. I like this one, the Manifesto of Software Craftsmanship. I know there is a baggage around the manifesto itself and the authors and what's not, but in the end of the day, the message is, I think, something that we can all sign up to. Not only working software, but well-defined crafted software. Yes, quality is very important to us. Not only responding to change, but also steadily adding value. Obviously, not only individuals, but also community of professionals. Yes, we want to be better as the community. Not only customer collaboration, but productive partnerships. I think we all can agree that this is something that a software engineer can sign up. And another way to look at it, it's just breaking down the same points, is a slide from a talk of my friend Anton Kiaks. He delivered a talk about software craftsmanship and kind of summarized it. So he spoke about being full stack developer, being polyglot developer, and how we actually, doesn't matter for us which language or framework do we work, as long as we understand the development concepts. This is all like about us. The interesting part is that he also mentioned the development an afterthought, right? The developers don't really care about this stuff. The only reason it even mentioned is that we don't want to be bothered with this in the middle of the night. It's not our job, and it's very annoying when someone calls us and wants something from us. Our job is done by then. We already wrote code. I don't know what you're talking about. Go figure your server outages yourself, right? So if we try to summarize what definition of done for a software developer is. So as I already mentioned, I'm going to read from slide. That's my favorite slides. We understand what needs to be done. Our code is readable, simple, and understandable. Our code is easy to deploy. This is all, I hope you all buy into. Non-functional requirements are met, very important, like stuff like performance and stuff. We didn't incur any technical depth, we actually reduced it. Our test pass, the QA look and take a look and they look happy. Team leader took a look and they look happy. And then product owner, who is the proxy for customer in our environment, took a look and they are happy as well, which basically means client is happy and we're good. Right? This is the definition of done. Done. Well, everybody are happy. I can go to sleep. Don't call me at 3 a.m. server migrations, whatever. Right? So, something interesting about this slide. You see how we work together very happily with the QA and the testing folks? I don't know if you're long enough in the industry to remember that was not the case some time ago. This is something that I found online, and now it just looks ridiculous. I mean, this is bullshit. Why would I be in the rivalry with the QA people? It doesn't make any sense. One of the things that I want in my definition of done is quality code. How do I achieve quality code? Those folks actually help me. I want to work with them. This doesn't make any sense, right? Who agrees that the QA are not the enemy those days? I'm just checking if you're not asleep, because obviously you agree. Now, and that's because, here are my Soviet names. And that's because we want a higher quality. This is something that, again, I hope all of us as developers agree, we want higher quality. Now, interesting observation. What we consider quality changes over time. I already showed you how old I am, so I will allow myself to go back in time using the Wayback Machine and look at the website of my bank 10 years ago. This is, there we go. This is the website of my bank 10 years ago, and there is, you can see here news and announcements, and you know what, sometimes they say, you know what, your bank will be 12 hours of maintenance window to ensure quality, obviously. And 10 years ago, you were like, whatever, who uses this anyway? I'm going to the branch if I need something because it's not very useful anyway, so I don't care, right? You were like, whatever. Nowadays, not so much, right? Me personally, I switched banks over the quality of their mobile app. And I know that I'm not the only one. So for us, suddenly, this stuff is important. Didn't have to be, but now it is. There is also another very important shift that happened in ensuring quality. Code quality is not enough. More and more we learn that what breaks our applications, our software, is data. And there is a lot of data, and there is more and more data every year. This is a survey or whatever prediction by Seagate. They're kind of biased. They do storage, but but even if you take it with a grain of salt, you know the story by now. There is more and more data, and every company becomes now a big data company. I mean, everybody has a chief scientist. Jfrog has a chief scientist. What do we have to? No, we have a good reason. We have a lot of data, right? But everybody have a lot of data, right? What it means is there is no more staging server as we know it. Remember the good old staging server in which you can roll out your software, test the hell out of it, and say, this is awesome, I can go to sleep. It will work exactly the same in production? Not anymore. Just because putting everything mimicking the production in staging server, it's impossible just because the sheer amount of data that we have to deal with. So what do? Obviously we panic. And then we say, you know what, fuck it, I will test in production. There is a whole industry now of testing in production. It's called by fancy words that need to actually masquerade the horror of the whole thing. It's called progressive delivery. But you know what? Here and then we get the glimpse of what really is going on. My favorite is blast radius. Everybody knows it's going to fail miserably in production. The only thing we try to achieve is less casualties. Not zero. That's obviously it won't work, but let's hope less people will pay attention. What it means for us, the developers, that suddenly the only way to ensure quality is production. And if we care about quality, and we already established that we do, we have to be there where the shit hits, when we deploy to production. We have to be there because this is where we can see whether it worked. We can see that it didn't work, right? We have to be there, and that means that we are now on call. That suddenly getting calls at 3 a.m., it is a part of our job because, we already committed to quality, so we're fucked. So we're on call, we participate, we involve. So now, since we care about the quality in production, and we have blast radius, and we have progressive deployment, we have to have another line in this list, which is SRE took a look and they are happy with our software. Who now? SRE? SRE, apparently, by the definition of people who invented SRE, are people who implement Devops. Those are the people who are in charge of successful progressive delivery, which is obviously an oxymoron, but they do their best. What does it mean they took a look and they are happy? First of all, shit will go wrong, and that means we will need to deploy 3M or redeploy. To be able to deploy at 3 a.m., we need to know how our software is deployed. We need to be able to build our software very fast. Because you remember why? There is like a blast, there are casualties, people are dying, deploy your software already. It has to be built very, very fast. Scalable, because again, Black Friday, the site is down, we're losing billions of dollars, let's add more servers. This is how we fight this with throwing more servers on it. Hopefully it will help somehow. Our code starts fast and dies fast, obviously because we need to restart, there were bugs, now we fixed it, we need to restart as fast as possible. Our code is observable because we want to know that something went wrong. Hopefully not by angry mob on Twitter, but in some other ways. Observability might help, might not, but we try our best. Our code supports feature flags. Feature flags are the best thing. Once we deploy to production, now we have a lever that can hide all the new features that are so great that it didn't work. That we can hide them so people will feel that everything is great. So feature flags are amazing. Our code backwards compatible, obviously, because now we have some new parts of the system, but also old parts of the system that need to work together. And forward compatible. You know why? Because we did a rollback, so now we have older systems that somehow needs to be able to know how to communicate with newer parts of the system that didn't exist when we wrote the old. Good luck. Our code emits event streams, again, because hopefully our code event streams is better than our Twitter event stream. We'll see. This is also very familiar. If you ever heard about 12-factor app, this is more or less the list of what a modern cloud-native application should look like. Now, it turns out that 12 factors are not enough, so there are 14 and 16 and 18, all of them, as long as it's power of 2 and a simple number, it works. And people can come up with any number of factors by now, and this is very convenient. So anyway, one more directly from the 12 factor up, our code is lean. And by lean means it saves money. This lean. And then you go and you ask yourself, what I have to do with lean? Saving money, wasting money, this is all ops stuff. They have their AWS bill, it's terrifying, it's horrible, I don't want to know anything about it. It has nothing to do with me. But is it? Here's an example of a talk from Kafka Summit 2019. Software engineer, developer from SignalFX, ex-SignalFX, now Splunk, talks about how they implemented Kafka, obviously a very developer-like oriented framework to save tons of money for the organization. Now suddenly, we not only care about production and 3M, but we also care about money. And this is terrifying because, or is it? There might be something interesting here. Next time, which is obviously now, as you all know, when your boss is talking about cutting costs, the normal answers like, hey, let's lay off people, or maybe, how about, doesn't work again, come on. How about make developers paying for their own coffee? You know what? We don't need any of those. We can actually switch to serverless, move to the cloud, start saving money, and this is something which is completely in our control. So you as developers, instead of worrying about layoffs and paying for coffee, just need to learn how to pronounce kubectl and save money to your organization. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I pronounce it this and every time differently, and everybody go like, yes, that's exactly how it should be. Cube control. Cube control, yep, I have no idea. Anyway, this is how we can save money. But not only that, we can actually contribute to other business requirements. For example, we need more happy customers. And you know customers, you are customers. What do we want as customers? Getting back to the story of my bank mobile app, what do we want? More features. When do we want them? We want them yesterday, obviously. How DevOps can help? Donor report. Woo! Elite performers. Deploy 208 times more frequently to production. More features to production faster. This is what business wants. This is what Dora delivers. Yay, DevOps. What else? How about security? We need to improve security. How do we do that? Well, obviously, we hire a Chief Information Security Officer, so we will have someone to blame when incident happens, and then fire them. That's what we do. Or we can start thinking about security in other aspects. For example, think about security as you were thinking about stopping distances when you learned for your driver license, and now you go like, what? What this has to do with anything? This has to do with anything by saying there are completely different concepts that contribute to your stopping distance. Thinking distance, neuron firing in the brain, and all this stuff, and then breaking distance, which is the rubber, the pavement, and how they work together. It's the same with security. In reactive security, when you have been hacked, and here, pay attention to my words, not if, but when you were hacked, you need to react. You need to identify the problem as fast as possible, fix it as fast as possible, and then update your software as fast as possible. And you go like, nah, we're going to be fine. We're going to prevent anything. No one will hack us. Well, I remember this guy, Spectre and Meltdown, couple of years ago, attacking all the chipsets on the planet and what's not. Well, the problem with Spectre specifically is that it's not a vulnerability, but instead it's a pattern of vulnerabilities. You know how it works? We take software, a lot of software, big data, data scientist, and learn from it. Then we can assume how chipsets are going to optimize the flow of this software, and we know for sure how any software in the world is going to be optimized. All we need to do then is actually attack this software as we would attack the software that we know. Some threads are impossible. Well, that's not true. You know how you can write code that will be completely protected against Spectre? Write terrible, shitty code. No one will ever guess how the chips are going to optimize terrible and shitty code. They can predict how well-written code will be optimized, but this is not what you do. Well, anyway, back to the story. You need to react, fix it, and then update your software. How do you update your software? Well, if you update it 208 times faster, you will be able to be more protected from the vulnerability than your competitor, and frankly, this is all you care about. You don't need to be the fastest who run from the bear. You only need to be faster than one other guy. It's exactly the same here. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is yes, you know by now, DevOps is a nasty plot of ops people to make us work harder. But it's actually an evolution. It's evolution that provides business with quality, with, I don't know what goes like that, with savings, with new features, and with security. And that means that we really don't have a choice. Because business wants all that. They expect us to adopt DevOps. Once this demon is out of the box, you cannot put it back in. The industry discovered DevOps and liked it. So you'd better learn this and start implementing. But what is DevOps? You remember this diagram. You saw it millions of times. You're a developer. All you need to do now is learn all the concept of possible of operations, and then all the possible tools and concept of QA, and then you are one unit of DevOps engineer, right? Well, good news, everyone. This is unicorns farting rainbows. Never existed because DevOps engineers do not exist. DevOps engineers do not exist because no one is capable of knowing all that. DevOps is about collaboration between different people that know different things. And if it is about collaboration, the term DevOps engineer has as much meaning to it as the term collaboration engineer, whatever it is. DevOps engineers do not exist because you cannot know anything, everything. No one expects you to know everything, and whoever expects you to know everything are pretty stupid. Now, the less politically correct slide of this talk, I apologize in advance. I was born in Soviet Union where no one cared about this shit. I was raised in Israel where no one still cares about this shit. Sorry, not shit. Why am I doing that? So, I sincerely apologize, but it is what it is. Anyway, T-shaped people. People. Not this. T-shaped people, what does it mean? It's people who know a lot about everything. No one knows a lot about everything. T-shirt people have a depth. They know something about one thing. Developers know about how to write code. Operations know about how to deploy code. Security know how to secure code. But we have the width of understanding different concepts and working together. This is what T-shirt people really is. Good news, everybody. Ops people realized that DevOps is not about them, or not only about them. Only 1 year after the DORA report that I showed you, new DORA report 19, still not the latest, but just 1 year after the one that I showed you. Look what difference a year makes. And that's even pre-COVID. First of all, who DORA asks? Development and engineering. Most people who answered the DORA report in 2019 were developers. Suddenly, they want to hear what developers have to say about DevOps. Look at the metrics. There is an entire pillar now that it's called software development. Suddenly, software development is a large part of what DevOps is about. Remember the Phoenix project and not a single developer? Even there, the situation is completely changed. Obviously, Jim Kim cannot rewrite the book that is already out, so he writes a new one. It's called the Unicorn Project. Guess what? Exactly the same story. One single individual invents DevOps and wins. What's the difference? This time, it's Maxim, the lead developer. Right, and you know what? That was my kind of theory, that it was like trying to make things right with the developers for DevOps. I asked Jim. I told him, like, he was sitting like in first row when I delivered this talk, and I asked him, Jim, is it true? And he was like, remember those scary SREs that we were like, we're not sure where they are and what we do with them? You know what? SREs are not about moving us, the developers, into DevOps. It's the other way around. It's teaching ops people how to write code. SRE is what happens when you treat operations as it was a software problem. Suddenly, it's all software. It's all what we do. So it's not that we need to kind of come up with some new thing which is both developers and operations. Instead, it's looking on ops problem through the eyes of the developers, which is pretty good news for us. Because yes, DevOps is an ops idea, and you cannot change the past. This is how it started. But the business liked it, and it means that we're all committed, because it provides quality, it's lean, it gives competitive advantage, and it's security, and it's not as bad as it sounds. Now, everything is code. We as developers will love code, so it's fine. All we need to do is follow principles and practices, and we know how to do that because we're also awesome developers. So in the end of the day, DevOps is fine. There is nothing to be afraid of. We should embrace the thing by now and not be a DevOps engineer. So, Jfrog on Twitter, DevOps Talks Plus, this is this conference. DevOps is a good hashtag to add to any of your posts on social. It will give you tons of retweets from bots from all around the world that search for this hashtag and retweet stupidly everything they come upon. Jfrog says show notes, this is where the slides are. The video hopefully will be when I hit like stop button, and all the links, raffle for the books. And now you know what's happening. We're all going to Jfrog booth when one of you, and only one of you, because you have to be present to win, is going to win the amazing Nintendo Switch to spend your nights while your code is deployed to production and before it actually went boom and there are casualties in the blast runnings. With that, thank you very much for coming for this awesome conference. I'll see you next time in Melbourne, Singapore, and Auckland. You were amazing. Thank you. And sorry again for all the nasty stuff. You didn't hear any of that. I'm going to delete it from the recording. No one saw any.
All right, thank you very much to Barak. Great presentation. Thank you for wrapping it up. As he said, we're going to draw the switch at your booth.
Yes.
And then of course straight after that, Cafe Del Mar. Yeah, Cafe Del Mar for some drinks. All right. So from Carmel and myself, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the past 2 days at Devops Talks conference. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and like all of our posts.